Of course, of course. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to our live. This is our immigration, news. Of course, we are talking about immigration. My name is Annie Koloko. We already started with the team on TikTok, of course, like this fearless team on TikTok. And for you guys here on YouTube, by all means, then you should connect yourself. And don't forget actually to secure the live, because if you don't, then of course that may result in for you have some interruption when you're watching this. Now we will talk today about something different. Hello, hello. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Sasha. Thank you so much. Hello, Juan. Being that for you, thank you for the encouragement. I want to tell you something that we need to know about. Of course, now these lines will be a mix of immigration news, of course, also some specific team that we want to talk about, and then answering your question as well. Hello, hello, Fajili. I know that some of you, I have my fearless and dedicated, followers who are following me when I do my live in French, but that's in the evening, meaning that if you are there, you are more than welcome. But as you can see, we are talking in English here. Now, you have to understand that we just heard that there is what is called a social security freeze, meaning that suddenly Social Security Administration halted actually the issuance of Social Security number. This is super important. Why? Because you have to remember that first and foremost, when the administration came, they actually started working with the other agency in the government. Remember, the administration is the executive and the agency are working for the president. This is part of the executive branch. Among those agencies was actually the Social Security Administration. The Social Security Administration, first and foremost, they ask for access of all information, all the data on immigrant, on people who are hiring immigrants. Here we're talking about small business, employers, and so on and so forth. They also ask, for the list, the roles of people who have what is called a taxpayer ID number, because they were not eligible to receive a social security number. With a taxpayer ID number, some immigrants were able actually at least to have, a number and be able to file their taxes. There've been actually a report of the administration asking to actually void all of this number and just put them, in the role of people who have passed. Meaning that, yeah, that's actually something quite, it's something else. But now, what remained? Remember, we have a lot, it's coming on all sides, right? They already, I told some of you, I'm not sure if I said that during my live in English yesterday, I'm not sure if I did say that to you, or maybe it happened afterward, probably not. For asylum application, the administration is thinking, and this is actually a report from, sources in DHS saying that, yes, they're thinking about obviously, lengthening the time for somebody, for an immigrant, for an asylum seeker to obtain the right to seek, obviously a working permit. Now, what is the original rule is what? Is actually you file your asylum application, and once you have asylum application, you have the receipt from USCIS, and then of course, if you are in court, you have to file a copy in court as well. You have to file your asylum application in court. But then from there on, you have the clock to start running. Once you hit the 180 days, you will be issued, at least you'll be eligible to be issued a working permit. Now, according to sources, this will change. They will ask that no work permit being issued, the immigrant will not be eligible to actually seek, authorization to work for 180 days, at least giving time to USCIS to process the application. Now, of course, analysts are saying it's almost impossible. We have a huge backlog. It's not even possible to hit the 180 days. These have been going back and forth. We have more than 1 million backlog as far as application before USCIS, more than 2 million, some even say 4 million before the court, meaning how is that going to work? Okay. Now, but the alternative also was to say that even if the 180 days is not met, then at this point is to push, right? And say that's no problem. They're going to push and ask for asylum seeker to wait for 1 year. 1 year. But you have to understand it's a targeted actually policy, right? But at the end, the policy is to discourage people, to move, to the United States, to seek work in the United States. And of course, it's targeting certain category of immigrants. Here we're talking mostly about asylum seeker, because the asylum seeker are really, in the ice, it's like in the eye of the storm. One thing, they're thinking about lengthening the time for someone who is seeking asylum to apply for EAD, aka you're not going to be able to work legally. It's going to be more difficult for you to survive because you will not have the right to work. And of course, there is also pressure on employer, right? Because now they look into the system. If your employer is trying to work with you, but you being paid under the table, then of course now there is a risk that they will be facing, heavy fines, of course. Then of course we will see, but now it's not everything. Millions of people actually now that are eligible, even, it's one thing you file for your asylum application, now you're eligible, of course, apply for your working permit. And I know a lot of people keep asking me that and saying that, yes, okay, I got my working permit, and then I'm waiting for my social security number. Why don't I have the social security number? Which again is not immigration law. This is basically a government agency, and the social security number is the issue for you to have the right to work. You're going to have to present this to your employer. They're going to be able to actually issue what is called a W-2. You're going to be able to do your tax return and pay, your taxes and so on and so forth. It's going to be also considered when you have your credit, your credit file. But now, guess what? They just decided that, of course, there is what is called an enumeration beyond entry program. It's an agreement between the Social Security Administration and the Department of Homeland Security, where USCIS will provide Social Security actually for people who are seeking, work authorization. That's what you will see when you fill out the working permit. Then they're asking, do you want the Social Security Administration to issue a Social Security number? If you don't have that, of course, you're going to be yes. But now they're saying that no, this program now, of course, has been halted, and that without notice, right? And this has been halted basically on March 19, meaning that what we know now is that going forward, you may have your EAD, but you will have a hard time to get your Social Security number, because it is not automatic, right? Of course, and this again, that was without public notice, right? Of course, meaning that you see people will be found like this without, your employer will be asking, what's your Social Security number, You can actually show that, right? Now, what they're saying that you will have to go in person. That will explain why a lot of you are asking me during the live, I'm waiting for my Social Security number. I'm not having it. I don't have it. Okay, this is why. This is why they want you to go there in person, right? Of course, there is a freeze. Now, on the 15th of April, on April 15, boom, the administration issued another memo, right? And then, of course, saying that social like immigrant, you're undocumented immigrant. Of course, somebody who's seeking asylum is not undocumented, but if you're undocumented, aka you don't have your papers, right? But you will not be able to receive Social Security benefit. Because before, if you work, right, if you have been working, you will be actually accruing over time. You will see, because you've been paying taxes, you will be accruing over time Social Security, benefit, of course, when you reach a certain age, retirement age, and so on and so forth. But now they like, nope, actually, they just got rid of that, right? Meaning basically what we have now, this has been, put aside. You're going to have to go in person. And then, of course, it was justified by saying that no, on the Dodge, right, that this was just to go after, obviously, because remember, Dodge is actually looking for any way to save money for the government and so on and so forth. And then for them, it's like, no. And they reduce all of these field office, at least for 12%, right? But bottom line for you you have to understand that, you know, if you are not going to receive a social security card automatically, you're going to have to go there in person. Now, coupled with also the fact that you may have, for some of you, wait longer, you know, to get your EAD. Does that affect the people who already apply for EAD? Does that affect people who already have their EAD? No, because you have to remember that once you already apply for something, even if they change, you know, it's not a law, because, you know, obviously it's not in front of Congress. And the reason I'm saying obviously is because it's been years, and then there is this gridlock, right? Like both parties do not get along to pass a new immigration law. But the agency can have this directive, right, where they will be looking, you know, obviously for a way to apply the law. Now, this can be challenged in court. It will probably be challenged in court, but guess this is what's going to go on. Meaning, I just wanted you guys to know that, because it's important, you know, obviously be on the lookout if you apply. Now, if you have your working permit, don't start freaking out. Don't freak out. Your working permit will still be valid, but they're going to go another way to it, right? And the other way is actually asking, you know, so of course, this has been, I told you guys that in previous live, they've been asking judges to terminate asylum cases if there is no proof that there is a legal explanation, right? What is the legal reasoning? And that's for you. I encourage you literally to avoid, you know, because I know that for some of you, you may find yourself using the notario, right? The fake lawyers, and here I'm talking about lawyers who are not even admitted. You know, they just present themselves as consultant of whatever. Be careful, because that's not going to be enough to just fill out an application and just send it to court, right? If you don't have a legal reason, what is the reason for you? For example, for those of you seeking asylum, here I'm talking about that, you're going to be in big trouble, because you won't be able to have the legal reasoning. Why? For example, if you say, oh, I'm actually filing for asylum because I think I belong to a special group, which is one of the category in the asylum, you know, under which you can apply. Now, if you say, oh, yes, it's because, you know, I partner to a special group. Okay, then to a particular group, to be precise, and then you don't specify, you don't have like a legal memorandum explaining what is the particularity of that group. That's a legal memorandum, by the way. But now the government is saying that the judge have the right to just dismiss your case. Meaning it is not, and this is another way, right, to just go after, because the government is trying to see all of the way they can actually to increase those numbers. And that's the low-hanging fruit. We also saw today that they're going to start, you know, GHS submitting this weekend, and they're not very happy. They're thinking that the number is not there, and they're thinking that they need to increase that. And now they instructed the officer that when they actually proceeding to arrest, they need to arrest even collateral, people who are just around there that seems to look like, you know, immigrant, which is wild, because here we're talking about profiling, and this has been already litigated in court, meaning it's going to end up in court again, because why would you think this is a good idea? That makes no sense. But you have to understand, once you understand what is the big picture, everything that you see, you're not in a state of shock, because it's just a way at the end, remember, is to reach those numbers. And the number is 3,000 people per day being arrested. Again, does that mean that they're going to be deported? Not necessarily, but they will push. And this is for a category of people. It's not everybody. Because when you see mostly people who are in removal proceedings, where now the government may move, you know, especially asylum seeker, they're trying to get really push. They want people to be completely discouraged to even come to the southern border. And then even if you come, you know, through, you know, obviously by flight, and then your visa is, and then you say, I am fleeing persecution, which is wild, because the US government is a signatory of the Convention on Asylum, right? But this is the way it is nowadays, right? We see in Canada, they have a new immigration bill, and that has been extremely controversial, right? Meaning that this is the way it is. Things are changing, right? But you have to understand that, yeah, there will be, but it's not the same. For example, obviously, if you've been, sponsored by your employer, this is not what they're talking about here. If you are, of course, married to a U.S. citizen, obviously, then will be, that's not going to be the same thing, because they will be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, you have that, da da da. But if it's not that, be mindful, okay? Be mindful, because things are changing. Things are changing. But one thing for sure, even if you're eligible for anything, you need to know what are you eligible for. Don't just sit on your and rest on your laurels. Don't do that. Don't just assume that, oh yeah, sure, I'm good. No, 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 no. You have to be very careful. Okay. You have to avoid also find yourself in situation where there is a police interaction somewhere. You have maybe you go to court. If you know that you go to court, if you argue, maybe you have like a domestic incident, be careful. If you have also something with the neighbor, they call the police. Be careful about this, right? Hello, BTS, hello. But then don't just be careful about this thing. Be prudent, because those are the entryway for ICE to step in. If you have like of course, a removal order that has not been executed, you're vulnerable to deportation, obviously, right? If you, of course, we talk about that. If you find yourself in court, of course, always, 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 you need to have everything proving that, yes, I need to have my case in court, this and that, and this and that. We talk about that. I know I keep hammering on that, but because it's super important, you need to be mindful. Okay, you need to be mindful, you need to be prudent. I'm going to take question quickly, because of course I have a full day ahead of me, and then ask me question. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for asking question. I'm always grateful for your support, of course, of course, of course, of course. Let's see. Oh, hello Bernard, thank you, thank you. Juste hello, hello. Monsieur Didier, thank you. Divine, I have the name, Divine. Serge, thank you, thank you. Now, answering question for those of you. Okay, my French-speaking people, you know where to find me. That will be in the evening, of course, and everybody is welcome. You don't have to come only because you speak French, please. So let me just put it down there, because come on, why not, right? Why not? Of course, I have a question from Mohamed. First and foremost, let me ask my moderator, my dear Caprice. Caprice, where are we? Because before I don't want to step on your toes and just start talking when maybe that's not where I'm supposed to be. Thank you, Terrestre. Yes, thank you. I have a great community, and they will be doing the job that I'm not able to do, because I cannot be talking and then be looking and then tell you exactly what you need to do, right? Oh, that's it? Okay. Given that we don't have a lot of objective, I think, exactly, please, thank you, thank you. Yes, we do have also, I encourage you, for those of you who want to have them question answer, obviously in priority, right? And also we have a community where we share things that you don't see in the live. We get into even more detail. You need to go and join the community. It's right there. Here I'm talking about TikTok. I'm not talking about, here on YouTube. On YouTube, we do have something else. Hello, hello, Dr. Ramon. How are you? Okay. Okay, I have a question, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to ask just a few questions, because you guys did not reach your goals. You have to reach your goals, right? And I'm talking here about the TikTok family, and I'm looking at my moderator telling me exactly where we stand. They're telling me, both of them are telling me, and I just want to make sure I get it. All right. I just want to make sure that I got it. I got it. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Okay, here. Okay. Let me just make sure that oh la la. Okay. Okay. BTS, you can check, because you know what to do. You guys know what to do. Okay. I have a question. I think there is a question from Mohamed. Okay, Mohamed, a question. I just said my status through marriage on May the 7th. I only received the receipt for the I-130. All right. Okay, May 7th. Yeah, normally you should receive the receipt for both applications. You can reach out to USCIS. If you have a USCIS online account, as you should, then you reach out to them, right? And then you tell them that, okay, you have not received the receipt for the 485. Then you should be about, no, it's not abnormal because it's only June 4th, right? It's barely a month. Normally it's 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not really worried. I'm not really worried too much about that. No. Yeah, exactly. Merci, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Exactly for the reminder. You guys, seriously, listen. Okay, I see the question in French. I'm not really sure why do we have question in French. And then please don't forget to subscribe. We have our new community. We have some things we're working on. You guys believe that this is important for you. Then obviously you know that what we're offering is not something that you will find everywhere, or of course. Then come on, do what you need to do. Okay, Belladonna. What if it's over 6 weeks? About 5 months since we submitted the EAD renewal. Yeah, but then I will encourage again, if it's over 6 weeks, right? It depends because the EAD is based on categories, right? Which category did you apply? Was the renewal based on what? Was it based on asylum? Was it based on adjustment of status? Was it based on what exactly was it based on, right? And then, of course, then you reach out to USCIS. Go through your USCIS online account, and then you see like, okay, specifically if you have already your receipt, if you have your receipt number, you can either call them. Early in the morning is good, right? Or either you call and then they're going to ask you to leave a message with your phone number, or either you send them a message through your USCIS online account and they will reply. Even if that's okay, then you call them. Call, yes, because for those of you who don't have your receipt number, call. They're going to be looking, right? And this is actually a segue to tell you that when you send a correspondence to USCIS, make sure that you send it by certified tracking number, because guess what? If you don't have that, you want to make sure that you actually have a way to track that it was actually delivered to USCIS. Number two, if you have to pay actually your filing fees, then you have to make sure that it will be best for you to have a way to track it. And that's the best way, is actually using a check. Because when you have the check, when they cash the check, that's how you know, oh yeah, great. They done, right? That's what I hope that answers your question. Yeah, but yeah, that's basically how it's expected. There are a lot of people asking or filing application with USCIS, of course. That's why it takes what the take that it take, right? And then of course, then we have that, right? And then it's that's the way it is, of course, right? Okay, you could not hear me. You need to call USCIS. That's what I'm saying. Call them. You need to call them. Give them a call, okay? People can travel. Okay, travel, question about travel, we do not answer those just because the landscape is always shifting. And it's very hard for me to actually, make an assessment on that because I don't have your immigration history. I have no idea what's going on with your case, meaning I decline. That's a great question, Caprice. That's a great question. Exactly. Yep. Well, open an online account. All of you who have immigration cases with USCIS, you should get a USCIS online account. Seriously, you should, because you can really have a lot of things, correspondence, communication with USCIS in there. You should, because if you don't, and it's free, right? You go to USCIS, top right, you will see create an account. You will see sign in, or underneath it will create an account. Then you go there, you create, you're going to enter the email address. A two-step verification normally is your phone number and your email address, then of your choosing. And then that's why every time you will be connecting to USCIS, you're going to be prompt, obviously, to enter the information regarding your identifiers, right? AKA your email, and number two, your phone number. Okay. Yes, Belladonna, I say you can. I say call them because when you don't have a receipt number, instead of going through USCIS online account, you need to give them a call. You can do that either way, but you need to call and they're going to ask you more questions, right? But that's what I was asking also. I was doing a segue. Did you send it also with a tracking number? And you guys should send it with a tracking number because then you can even tell the officer on the phone, I sent my da 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 on such and such a date. It was received on such and such a date. I have the tracking number here. And they're going to help you fix it. Okay. That's basically what it is. Okay. Thank you, guys. Yes, thank you, BT. Yes, yes. Don't forget, please. You know, look at. We have a moderator, amazing moderator, and putting some prompt over there. Make sure that you guys, we offer even more than what you see, in the community that we have. Then, by all means, make sure that you get there. Yes, get there, get there, get there. Nana demande, she asks, sorry, that's the French coming out. I can only do so much, right? Does the new rule for asylum seeker and work permit affect old? And I did reply, I already answered that. Maybe you just arrived. You're welcome, Belladonna. Nana, you just arrived probably. I say no. If you already have your working permit, that new rule, that is not a new rule yet. They're talking about, they had a meeting about it last weekend. No, it's not actually. But obviously, that will be different, going forward. But was for the Social Security, now you will have to go in person. If you have your working permit, you don't have a Social Security number, you're not just going to receive that in the mail. No, they're going to want you to go there to the office in person. And I guess from there on, who knows what's going to happen. Okay. You're welcome. All right. All right, all right, all right. But yeah, meaning that basically, I hope that actually makes sense to you, right? I hope that makes sense to you. I think I saw a question where people were asking about TPS for Cameroon. I think I did address that in my live in French. For TPS in Cameroon, the situation that we have as far as litigation, two things that we need to know. Litigation is still ongoing, right? But however, yesterday, obviously, GHS actually terminated officially the TPS for Cameroon. What does that mean? It means that it was actually, published in the Federal Register, right? Because it's not like, oh, okay, June 7, that's the end. No. The redesignation for the TPS for Cameroon was to end on June 7. Normally, 60 days prior to that, then the Department of Homeland Security has to indicate whether they will renew or not. They did indicate early April that, nope, they're not renewing. Okay, but that's not it. Now, they need to give also a 60 days grace period, meaning that to say that's the reason why now it's being published in the Federal Register and saying that now the designation will terminate exactly on August 4th, 2025, 60 days after the publication on the Federal Register, because that's what the law actually requires. Okay. Okay. Jack has, okay, can I go to any Social Security office or only the one on state where I apply my asylum? No, it's probably more where you live, right? Because if you reside somewhere, if you move and things like that, then by all means, you should definitely go to that Social Security number office. Yes, we do. We do, JY. We do handle those type of cases, which actually bring me, what case are we handling, right? We're handling family case, meaning that are you married to a U.S. citizen? Are you the spouse of a U.S. citizen? Of course, or maybe the child of a U.S. citizen or the parent of a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. We handle those type of cases. We have family. Do that, of course. And have you been abused? Because, this is also something that we have noticed. Some people unfortunately, I've been victim of abuse, right? And those people need protection. Yes, we do handle those type of case. That's not a problem. Of course, waiver. Yesterday, I had a live about waivers. Why is waiver important? Because a lot of people sometimes are not eligible to have their paper because they've been found to have either committed what is called fraud and misrepresentation, or uh, sorry about that. I have people, obviously those are phone call coming through. If you hear some noise, um, meaning fraud and misrepresentation, enter the country without inspection and admission, committed a crime, right? Things like that. You may need a waiver. Yeah. Those are the things we handle those type of case. If you've been if you're a Canadian citizen seeking to work in the United States, we do prepare TN visa application. That's super important for you guys to know. Citizen of Mexico as well. The citizen of Canada, the Canadian have the advantage where they can apply for the TN visa at the border, which is great. Of course, you have to be, you have to meet the requirements. We'll get more information about that, but those are the type of case, citizenship cases. Of course, we do handle that, of course. And then again, if you have an EB visa and an IW, I think there was somebody in the last live, I think he had a family member who may be eligible for national interest waiver, right? Because you have to understand that despite everything that you're hearing, there are category of immigrant that they do not talk about. And this is the part where people don't see. Who are they not talking about? Who are they talking about? Come on, connect the dot, right? Yeah, that's basically something. But those are the type of case we do handle. And of course, we represent clients in immigration before the immigration court. Thank you so much. But yes, this, my dear Caprice, already put information for you guys who are looking for our YouTube channel. It's under Coloco Immigration. Of course. Then, you can reach us there. Okay. Let me know if you have any more questions before we do. I can see Florian. Florian, thank you so much for these kind words. Thank you so much for the support. It's much appreciated. I rather have people who really, with whom I think that, okay, I can make a difference, right? Than to have meaning that's why it is. Very grateful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Do you guys have anything else? Anything else that I can tell you? Okay, we talk about, TPS for Cameroon. Next time, I think tomorrow I will be talking about something else, obviously, and about 7,900 Cameroonian. Yeah, sure. We do also something that is very important for you guys, and I see some question. You have to remember that as an immigration lawyer, we do represent clients in all 50 states. Why is that? It's not just, I'm not the one making the rule. It's just because immigration law is federal law. That's why you have immigration court everywhere. Meaning, yes, we can attend, of course. Now, since COVID, now most of cases, actually, when we're talking about court cases, it's done online. Yeah. Meaning that, you can have a lawyer. And of course, for the trial, it could be in person or in so on and so forth. But, and again, no, for the travel, we don't get advice for travel because this is something, it's a policy of the firm. We don't advise people on travel just because with the current landscape, we need to know your cases. We need to know your immigration history. You need to take that decision on your own. What is your status, so on and so forth. It's very important, right? And just to make sure that, yeah, for those of you, yes, when you're in court, you will receive the notice of hearing. The notice of hearing will say whether you have to attend in person or whether it's going to be online. But for attorneys, mostly it's online, meaning that we are online and then a client sometimes may be there in person, or you can even ask if the client can even attend, obviously also through video conferences. Okay, Dal. Is it required to put your work history on your government background check application? Yes, of course. Of course, this is not immigration law, but you have to go through. If they ask about background check, you're going to have to disclose everything. Otherwise, that may not work. ICE appointment, you have to go. I know, not great, but if you don't, then of course that's going to trigger even more problem, right? But if you go, you have to be to literally, get ready, share your location. I talk about this, we, try to see how we can help about that. How do you get ready about that? What do you do? And so on and so forth. Exactly. If he's the first, there you go. See, then, yeah, because it seems like the question is regarding the IT field. Yes, because I know everything is about background check. You really want to be super, because the lack, you know what they say, right? And I'm sure it applies everywhere because this is very particular to US culture, to American culture. It's not the crime most of the time, it's the line. Meaning that if they're asking you, why will you not be listing? Let them just look at what you listed and be like, it's not that important, right? Meaning that it's yes, thank you so much, Michelle, for making that specification for those of you. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, to be here. Obviously we have this we keep you posted. Tomorrow we have more. I know that yesterday one of you guys wanted us to talk about the appeal process, I guess. Even, and I guess maybe we're going to start a series, like by team, like what happened in immigration process, blah, blah, blah. And then that way you can come, with your question about that, and then different type of issue. But I hope that's going to be helpful to you, of course. Thank you so much, Caprice, for the number one gift badge. Thank you so much. Let me know if there is one or two question left that you guys have. If you don't, then I will see you guys. For those of you who speak French, and even those who don't speak French, it doesn't matter. Then we have our live in the evening, okay? Oh, yes, of course, you're panicking, Nana. Make sure the new rule don't mean that all the asylum. No, because you know what, Nana, the thing is, once you have already what is called an acquired right? If you're an asylum seeker, you already have your working permit, right? The only way you're not going to have your working permit presently if you go into violation of the criteria of the working permit, or if the underlying petition, aka the asylum application, has been already processed and then it was denied, and then it was all the way to the end, right, of the process. Then that's how you lose the right to work. Now, they could also, for example, at the time you renew, the administration can put, literally, they can change the rule, and I'm pretty sure they will. But if you have still, let's say you have your working permit valid 5 years, and they're still working on your application, or maybe you are actually in court in removal proceedings, make sure you up here, be very careful and things like that. But we talk about this even more detail. But I can understand how it can be very, very stressful, but it will be okay. That's why we have these lives, to demystify the whole thing, right? Yeah, because that's the thing. You need to understand what's the big picture. Why are they doing that? How do you protect a person? Can you protect against what's going on? Because you're going to have a lot of misinformation, a lot of questions coming your way, throwing your way. You're going to, go into a tailspin, be super stressed out. And when somebody's stressed out, you don't think. And then you don't think, you don't make the right decision. And this is not what you want. Yes, of course. Exactly. If you have your 5 years approval, just make sure to stay out of trouble. I'm not saying that you will be, but you never know, right? Like, seriously, you see something, just cross the road. You don't even want to start something. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Not because nowadays we're looking literally at the super immigrant, super perfect. Nobody is, but well, this is where we are. And when you go to court, if you go to court, I'm not sure if you're in court, then, you know, protect. We talk about that, but we can talk about this in another life. Okay, guys, I need to have this live. Thank you so much for being there. Yeah, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And for some of you, I will see you this evening, I guess. Thank you. No, I'm not. Again, I think some people just arrived. We're not answering questions about travel. The landscape is shifting too much. And I cannot take this responsibility because I don't know your immigration history. I don't. Everything nowadays is so complicated. I cannot answer that. If you want something like this, you literally, whether it's me or another person, another attorney, get a consult. get a consult if there's something that important, or either you make the decision on your own, right? All right, all right, all right, all right. But whether you want this and that, thank you so much, Biladuna, for the like. Thank you so much. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, BTS. Thank you so much, Caprice. Thank you so much for the gift. Don't forget, we have our community. We're gonna start giving even. Oh, you guys want more stuff? That's why we're creating this new community, where we're going to have even things, more interesting and for you and so on and so forth. But thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Vladimir. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much, Michelle, also, because Michelle also has been moderating, and because without you guys, I will not be able to do this, right? It's impossible, to do research, to do a live, and then to moderate. Like, seriously, you can't do that. And you can't force this, right? People will look into your heart and they will come forward and say, we're there for you. And for this, I'm eternally grateful. And I say, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I see some of you. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see some faces tonight. All right. And for the rest of you, I will see you tomorrow. And if you guys have idea of live you want me to talk about, by all means, make sure. But we're going to start this series about, what happened in immigration court. But of course, again, it's mixed with immigration news. If there are immigration news, we talk about that as well, right? See you tonight for some of you. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you, La Team YouTube. Thank you so much. I'm going to start with the Team YouTube. Thank you so much, YouTube. You guys have a great day. Thank you. Don't forget to follow this page, our YouTube channel, to, of course, make sure that you are aware when we are going live. Okay? Thank you so much. Be well. Thank you. Bye.